Maya walked slowly down the old street. The houses on both sides looked empty and forgotten. Paint was falling off the walls like old skin. Windows were dark and dusty. She had never been to this part of town before. Her grandmother had given her an address written on a small piece of yellow paper. The writing was hard to read. Maya looked at the paper again. She was looking for house number 47. The sun was going down. Long shadows stretched across the broken sidewalk. Maya felt a little scared, but also excited. Her grandmother had told her to come here after she turned 18. Today was her birthday. "You will understand everything when you go there," her grandmother had said with a strange smile. "But you must go alone, and you must not tell anyone where you are going." Maya stopped in front of a tall, dark house. The number 47 was painted on the front door in faded white letters. Thick, green plants grew up the walls. The windows were covered with heavy curtains. She walked up the stone steps to the front door. Her heart was beating fast. She raised her hand to knock, but the door opened before she could touch it. An old man stood in the doorway. He was very tall and thin. His hair was completely white. His eyes were bright blue, almost like ice. He wore a long, dark coat that reached his knees. "Maya," he said quietly. His voice was deep and smooth. "I have been waiting for you." Maya stepped back in surprise. "How do you know my name?" The old man smiled. "Your grandmother told me you would come today. Please, come inside. There is much to show you." Maya looked back at the empty street. She thought about going home, but her grandmother's words came back to her. She had to understand. She followed the old man into the house. The inside of the house was nothing like the outside. Everything was clean and bright. Beautiful paintings covered the walls. Soft music played from somewhere she could not see. The air smelled like flowers and old books. "My name is Thomas," the old man said as they walked down a long hallway. "I was a friend of your grandmother when we were young. A very good friend." "Was?" Maya asked. "Is she not coming here too?" Thomas stopped walking. He turned to look at Maya with sad eyes. "Your grandmother died 3 days ago, child. I am sorry. I thought you knew." Maya felt like the floor was falling away under her feet. "No," she whispered. "That cannot be true. I saw her yesterday. She gave me this address. She told me to come here." Thomas took the yellow paper from Maya's hand. He looked at it carefully. Then he looked at Maya with a strange expression. "This paper is very old," he said slowly. "Look at it again." Maya looked at the paper. It was yellow and felt very old between her fingers. The writing was faded, like it had been written many years ago. But that was impossible. Her grandmother had given it to her just yesterday. "I do not understand," Maya said. Her voice was shaking. "Come," Thomas said gently. "Sit down. Let me tell you about your grandmother and about your family." They walked into a large room filled with comfortable chairs and tall bookshelves. A warm fire was burning in a stone fireplace. Thomas pointed to a soft chair near the fire. Maya sat down. She felt confused and scared. Thomas sat across from her in another chair. "Your grandmother was a very special woman," Thomas began. "She came from a very special family. Your family, Maya. You have abilities that other people do not have." "What kind of abilities?" Maya asked. "You can see things that happened in the past," Thomas said. "You can touch something and know its history. You can speak to people who have died." "That is impossible. Those things are not real." Thomas smiled sadly. "Have you ever touched something old and suddenly felt like you were somewhere else? Have you ever had dreams that felt too real? Have you ever heard voices when no one was around?" Maya's mouth opened in surprise. All of those things had happened to her, many times. But she had always thought she was just imagining things. "The paper your grandmother gave you," Thomas continued, "she wrote it 50 years ago, on the day you were born. She knew you would need to find this place when you turned 18. But how did she give it to me yesterday if she died 3 days ago? Maya asked. Your grandmother's spirit came to you, Thomas explained. She wanted to make sure you found your way here. She wanted to make sure you learned about who you really are. Maya looked around the beautiful room. Everything felt like a dream. Why did she never tell me about any of this? She was protecting you, Thomas said. These abilities can be dangerous if you do not know how to control them. She wanted you to have a normal childhood, but now you are old enough to learn. Learn what? Thomas stood up and walked to a large bookshelf. He pulled out a thick old book. The cover was made of dark leather. This book belonged to your great-grandmother, he said, and her great-grandmother before that. It has been passed down through your family for hundreds of years. It will teach you how to use your gifts safely. Maya took the book. It felt heavy and worn in her hands. As soon as she touched it, she saw flashes of images in her mind. Women who looked like her, reading the same book, learning the same lessons. There are others like us, Thomas said. People with special gifts. We help each other. We protect each other. And we help people who need it. What happens now? Maya asked. Thomas sat down again. Now you learn. You practice. You discover what you can do. And when you are ready, you will help others, just like your grandmother did. Maya looked down at the book in her hands. She thought about her grandmother. She thought about all the strange things that had happened to her over the years. Finally, everything was starting to make sense. Will it hurt? She asked quietly. Learning never hurts, Thomas said with a kind smile. But it will change your life forever. Are you ready for that? Maya took a deep breath. She thought about going back to her old life, pretending nothing had happened. But she knew she could not do that. Not now that she knew the truth. Yes, she said. The next morning, Maya woke up in a small bedroom at the top of Thomas's house. Sunlight was coming through the white curtains. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered everything from the night before. She had stayed up late reading the old book. The words were written in beautiful handwriting. Some pages talked about seeing the past. Other pages explained how to speak with spirits. Maya had fallen asleep with the book in her hands. She got dressed and walked downstairs. Thomas was in the kitchen making breakfast. The smell of eggs and bread filled the air. Good morning, he said with a smile. How did you sleep? I had strange dreams, Maya said. I dreamed I was flying over a big city, but the city looked very old, like it was from 100 years ago. Thomas nodded. That was not a dream. That was your first vision. You were seeing the past of this place. This house is very old. Many people have lived here over the years. Maya sat down at the small kitchen table. Thomas put a plate of food in front of her. The eggs were still hot and smelled delicious. What happens today? Maya asked as she ate. Today you begin your real training, Thomas said. But first, you need to understand something important. Your abilities come with rules. You must never use them to hurt people. You must never use them for money or power. You can only use them to help. What if I break the rules? Maya asked. Thomas's face became serious. Then you will lose your gifts forever, and something much worse might happen to you. After breakfast, Thomas led Maya to a room she had not seen before. It was in the back of the house. The room was completely empty except for a single chair in the middle. Sit, Thomas said. Maya sat in the chair. The room was very quiet. No sound came from outside. Now, try to feel the history of this chair. Put your hands on the arms of the chair and let your mind be empty. Maya closed her eyes and touched the chair. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, images began to appear in her mind. She saw an old woman sitting in the same chair. The woman was crying. She was holding a letter in her hands. The letter was about her son who had died in a war. Maya gasped and opened her eyes. I saw a woman. She was very sad. Good, Thomas said. That was Mrs. Henderson. She lived in this house 60 years ago. Her son died in the Second World War. What else did you see? Maya closed her eyes again and touched the chair. This time she saw different people. A man reading a newspaper, a young girl playing with a doll, a teenager writing in a diary. I can see everyone who ever sat in this chair, Maya said in amazement. Every object holds memories. With practice, you will be able to read the history of anything you touch. This will help you solve problems and answer questions for people. They practiced for 2 hours. Maya touched different objects around the house. A clock that had belonged to a doctor. A mirror that had reflected the face of a beautiful dancer. A book that had been read by a lonely old man. Each object told its story through Maya's hands. She began to understand how her gift worked. Now we will try something harder, Thomas said. He led Maya to another room. This room had many photographs on the walls. All the photographs were very old. These are pictures of people who lived in this town long ago, Thomas said. Some of them died with problems that were never solved. Some of them had secrets they never told anyone. Touch the pictures and see what you can learn. Maya walked to the first photograph. It showed a young woman in a white dress. Maya touched the glass that covered the picture. Immediately, she was somewhere else. She was standing in a field of flowers. The young woman from the picture was running toward her. The woman looked frightened. "Help me," the woman said. "I was murdered, but everyone thinks I killed myself. Please tell them the truth." Maya pulled her hand away from the picture. She was back in Thomas's house, but she was shaking. "What did you see?" Thomas asked. "The woman in the picture. She said she was murdered. She wants me to tell people the truth." Thomas nodded slowly. "That is another part of your gift. Sometimes spirits of dead people will ask for your help. They cannot rest until their problems are solved." "But that happened so long ago," Maya said. "What can I do now?" "More than you think," Thomas said. "Tomorrow I will take you to meet someone who can help. There are people in this town who study old mysteries. They will listen to what you have learned." Maya looked around the room at all the photographs. "Are all of these people asking for help?" "Not all of them," Thomas said, "but some are. Over time, you will learn to help them find peace." They spent the rest of the day practicing. Thomas taught Maya how to control her visions. He showed her how to stop seeing the past when she wanted to. He explained how to protect herself from spirits that might be angry or dangerous. "Your grandmother was very good at this," Thomas said as they ate dinner. "She helped many people during her life. She solved mysteries that the police could not solve. She helped families find lost relatives. She brought peace to spirits who had been troubled for many years." "Did she ever get scared?" Maya asked. "Of course," Thomas said. "Everyone gets scared when they first learn about their gifts. But fear will make your abilities weaker. You must be brave and calm." That evening, Maya sat by the fireplace, reading more of the old book. She learned about different types of spirits. Some were friendly and just wanted to tell their stories. Others were angry and could be dangerous. A few were lost and needed help finding their way to whatever came after death. The book also talked about other people with gifts. Some could see the future instead of the past. Others could heal sick people with their hands. A few could speak with animals or control the weather. "Are there many people like us?" Maya asked Thomas. "Not many," he said. "Perhaps 1 person in 1,000 is born with a gift. Most of them never learn how to use it properly. Their families do not understand. They think they are going crazy." "What happened to my parents?" Maya asked. "My grandmother never talked about them much." Thomas was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Your parents had gifts too, but they were not careful. They tried to help someone very dangerous, a spirit that had been evil when it was alive. That spirit hurt them." Maya felt cold. Did they die? Yes, Thomas said sadly. When you were very small. That is why your grandmother raised you. And that is why she waited until now to tell you the truth. She wanted to make sure you were old enough to be safe. Maya stared into the fire. She thought about her parents, who she had never really known. She thought about her grandmother, who had kept this secret her whole life to protect her. I want to help people like my grandmother did, Maya said finally. But I also want to be safe. Good, Thomas said. Being careful is the most important lesson. Tomorrow we will go into town. You will meet other people who understand about gifts like yours. And you will help solve your first real mystery. Maya felt nervous and excited at the same time. She was beginning a new life that she had never imagined. Everything would be different now. But for the first time in her life, she felt like she truly belonged somewhere. The next morning, Thomas and Maya walked into the town center. Maya had lived in this town her whole life, but everything looked different now. She could see traces of the past everywhere. Old buildings whispered their stories to her. Even the sidewalk seemed to hold memories of all the people who had walked on it. Try not to listen to everything at once, Thomas warned her. It will give you a headache. Focus only on what we need to see. They stopped in front of a small coffee shop called Rosie's Cafe. The building was painted bright yellow with blue shutters. A bell rang as they walked through the door. Inside, the cafe was warm and cozy. A few people sat at small tables, drinking coffee and reading newspapers. The woman behind the counter had gray hair and kind eyes. She looked up when she saw Thomas. "Thomas," she said with a big smile, "I was hoping you would come today." Then she looked at Maya. "Your grandmother talked about you often." Maya felt surprised. "You knew my grandmother?" "Of course, dear. My name is Rose. Your grandmother and I were good friends. She helped me many times over the years." Rose came around the counter and gave Maya a gentle hug. "I am so sorry she is gone, but I am happy you are here now." Rose led them to a table in the back corner of the cafe. She brought them hot coffee and fresh cookies. "Maya is just learning about her gifts," Thomas explained to Rose. "Wonderful," Rose said. "We have been waiting for you, Maya. There is something we hope you can help us with." Rose left for a moment and returned with a man Maya had never seen before. He was middle-aged, with brown hair and glasses. He looked worried. "This is Detective Miller," Rose said. "He works with the police. Sometimes he asks for our help with difficult cases." Detective Miller sat down at their table. He looked at Maya with curious eyes. "Thomas told me about your abilities," he said. "I know it might sound strange, but we have a case that the police cannot solve. We think someone with your gifts might be able to help." "What kind of case?" Maya asked. Detective Miller pulled out a folder and opened it on the table. Inside were photographs and papers. Maya could see pictures of a young man with dark hair and a friendly smile. "This is Jake Williams," Detective Miller said. "He disappeared 3 weeks ago. He was 22 years old. One day he went for a walk in the woods outside town. He never came home." Maya looked at the photograph. "Did you search the woods?" "Many times," Detective Miller said. "We used dogs and helicopters. We searched every path and every stream. We found nothing. It is like he just disappeared into thin air." "What makes you think Maya can help?" "Jake's mother came to see me yesterday," Detective Miller said. "She said she had a dream about Jake. In the dream, he was trying to tell her something important. She thinks he might be trying to communicate from wherever he is." Maya felt her heart beating faster. "Do you think he is dead?" "We do not know," Detective Miller said, "but his mother is very worried. She heard that people in this town sometimes help with mysteries that normal methods cannot solve." Rose reached across the table and touched Maya's hand. "You do not have to do this if you do not want to. This is your choice." Maya looked at Thomas. "What do you think?" "I think you are ready to try," Thomas said. "But we will be very careful. If anything feels dangerous, we stop immediately." Detective Miller reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object, wrapped in a cloth. He placed it on the table. "This is Jake's watch," he said. "His mother gave it to me. She thought it might help." Maya stared at the cloth-wrapped object. She knew that as soon as she touched it, she would see Jake's memories. She would know what happened to him. But she was scared of what she might see. "Take your time," Thomas said gently. "Remember what I taught you. Stay calm and protect yourself." Maya took a deep breath. She reached out and touched the cloth. Immediately, visions filled her mind. She saw Jake walking on a path through thick woods. He looked happy and was whistling a song. Birds were singing in the trees above him. The sun was shining through the green leaves. Then Jake stopped walking. He was looking at something off the path. Maya tried to see what it was, but the vision was not clear. Jake left the path and walked toward whatever he had seen. He pushed through thick bushes and small trees. Maya could feel his excitement. He had found something interesting. Suddenly, the vision changed. Jake was falling. Maya could feel his fear and confusion. He was falling down a steep hill, covered with loose rocks and dirt. He tried to grab onto trees and bushes, but they broke in his hands. Then everything went dark. Maya gasped and pulled her hand away from the watch. She was back in the coffee shop, but she felt dizzy. "What did you see?" Detective Miller asked urgently. "Jake found something in the woods," Maya said slowly. "Something that made him leave the path. Then he fell down a steep hill. I think he might be hurt and trapped somewhere." Thomas handed Maya a glass of water. "Did you see where this happened?" Maya closed her eyes and tried to remember the vision. There was a big oak tree with a broken branch, and I could hear water running nearby, like a small stream. Detective Miller was writing notes quickly. "That sounds like the area near Miller Creek. There are some steep hills there, but we searched that area." "Maybe you did not search deep enough," Rose suggested. "If he fell far down a hill, he might be hidden from view." "Can you see anything else?" Detective Miller asked Maya. "Is Jake still alive?" Maya touched the watch again, but this time she focused on trying to feel Jake's present condition. The vision was much weaker, but she could sense something. "He is alive," she said, "but he is hurt and very weak. I think he has been unconscious for a long time. He needs help soon." Detective Miller stood up quickly. "I will call the search team right now. We will go back to Miller Creek and search every steep area." "Wait," Thomas said. "Maya should come with you. She might be able to sense exactly where Jake is." Maya felt scared. "I have never done anything like this before." "We will all be there to help you." An hour later, Maya found herself in the back of Detective Miller's police car, driving toward the woods outside town. Thomas sat beside her, and Rose had decided to come too. Several other police officers followed in another car. When they reached the woods, Maya could immediately feel that this was the right place. The air felt heavy with worry and fear. She could sense Jake's presence somewhere nearby. The group walked along the main path until Maya stopped. "Here," she said, pointing to a large oak tree with a broken branch. "This is where Jake left the path." They pushed through the thick bushes where Maya had seen Jake go in her vision. After a few minutes of walking, they came to the edge of a very steep hill. It dropped down so far that they could not see the bottom. "Jake!" Detective Miller called loudly. "Can you hear us?" Everyone was quiet, listening. After a moment, they heard a very weak voice from far below. "Help!" the voice called. "I am down here." Detective Miller immediately called for ropes and rescue equipment. Within an hour, a team of rescue workers had arrived. They carefully lowered a man down the steep hill on ropes. 20 minutes later, They brought Jake back up. He was conscious, but very weak. His leg was broken, and he had not eaten or had water for 3 days. But he was alive. As the ambulance took Jake to the hospital, his mother arrived. She had tears of joy in her eyes as she hugged Maya. "Thank you," she whispered. "You brought my son back to me." Detective Miller shook Maya's hand. "I do not know how to thank you. Without your help, we never would have found him." As they drove back to town, Maya felt tired but happy. She had used her gift to help someone for the first time. She had saved Jake's life. "You did very well today," Thomas said proudly. "Your grandmother would be very proud of you." Maya smiled as she looked out the car window at the woods. She was beginning to understand what her life would be like now. It would be different from what she had planned, but it would also be meaningful in ways she had never imagined. She was ready to learn more. 2 weeks after helping to find Jake, Maya was feeling more confident about her abilities. She had been practicing every day with Thomas. She could now read the history of objects much more clearly. She was also learning to communicate with spirits without being afraid. Thomas had introduced her to 3 other people in town who had similar gifts. There was Elena, a woman who could see the future in her dreams. David could heal small injuries by touching people. And Mrs. Chen could speak with animals. They all met every Tuesday evening at Rose's Cafe after it closed. They shared stories and helped each other with difficult cases. Maya felt like she finally belonged somewhere. But on this particular Tuesday evening, something was different. When Maya arrived at the cafe, everyone looked worried. "What is wrong?" Maya asked as she sat down at their usual table. "We have a problem," Elena said. Her voice was shaking. "I had a dream last night. A very bad dream about you, Maya." Maya felt her stomach tighten. "What kind of dream?" Elena took a deep breath. "In the dream you were in great danger. There was a dark spirit, much stronger than anything you have dealt with before. It was trying to hurt you." Thomas leaned forward. "Tell us exactly what you saw." "Maya was in an old building," Elena said. "Maybe a warehouse or an abandoned factory. The spirit was there waiting for her. It had been calling to her, pretending to need help, but it really wanted to steal her power." Maya felt scared. Can spirits really steal powers? "Some can," Thomas said grimly. "The most dangerous ones are spirits of people who had gifts when they were alive, but used them for evil purposes. When they die, they become something much worse." David, the healer, reached across the table and touched Maya's hand. "In Elena's dreams, did you see how this happens? How does Maya end up in this building?" Elena closed her eyes, trying to remember. "Someone comes to ask for help. A young woman. She says her sister is trapped somewhere and needs to be rescued. But the sister is already dead. It is a trap." Mrs. Chen, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "My cat told me something strange yesterday. She said there was a bad smell in the air. Not a smell that humans can detect, but something that animals fear." Thomas stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the dark street. This spirit Elena saw in her dream. Did it have a name? "The name Marcus came to me in the dream," Elena said. "I think that was his name when he was alive." Thomas turned back to the group. His face was very pale. "I know who that is. Marcus Vale. He lived in this town 50 years ago. He had gifts similar to Maya's, but he used them to hurt people. He would pretend to help families find missing relatives, but really he was stealing their money and sometimes their lives." "What happened to him?" Maya asked. "The other gifted people in town had to stop him," Thomas said. "There was a great battle. Marcus was very powerful. In the end, he died, but his spirit did not pass on to whatever comes after death. He has been trapped here, getting angrier and stronger." Rose, who had been making tea for everyone, came back to the table. "Why is he targeting Maya now?" "Because she is young and still learning to protect herself," Thomas explained. And because her power is very strong. If he could steal it, he would become much more dangerous. Maya felt frightened, but also angry. So what do we do? I can't just hide forever. Elena reached into her bag and pulled out a small notebook. I wrote down everything I could remember from the dream. If we can figure out where this old building is, maybe we can prepare for the trap instead of walking into it. Thomas read Elena's notes carefully. You said there were broken windows and old machinery inside. Yes, and there was a sign outside, but most of the letters were missing. I could only see Son and Company. David snapped his fingers. That sounds like the old Anderson Company building on the east side of town. It used to make furniture, but it has been empty for 20 years. Mrs. Chen nodded. My cat refuses to go near that area. She says it feels wrong there. Thomas was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then he said if Marcus is planning a trap, we need to spring it on our terms, not his. What do you mean? Maya asked. We go there first, Thomas said, all of us together. We set up our own defenses. Then when the young woman comes to ask for Maya's help, we will be ready. But in my dream, you were not there, Thomas. Maya was alone. Dreams of the future can sometimes be changed, Thomas said, especially if we know what might happen and we prepare for it. Rose stood up. I will close the cafe early tomorrow. We should spend the day getting ready. The next day, the group met at Thomas's house. He brought out several old books and began teaching them about protective spells and methods for fighting evil spirits. Remember, Thomas said, Marcus was once human. He knows how people think and feel. He will try to use your emotions against you. He might appear as someone you care about. He might try to make you feel guilty or afraid. Maya practiced creating shields around her mind. Thomas taught her words in an old language that would protect her from spiritual attacks. Elena worked on focusing her gift to see more clearly what might happen. She had another dream that afternoon while she napped in Thomas's living room. I can see more now, she said when she woke up. The young woman who asks for help will come tomorrow evening. She will say her name is Sarah, and that her sister Lucy is trapped in the old building. What does Sarah look like? Maya asked. She has long blonde hair and green eyes. She will be wearing a blue coat. But Maya, this is important. Sarah is not evil. She is being controlled by Marcus. He is making her do this. Thomas nodded. That makes it more difficult. We have to save Sarah and stop Marcus at the same time. That evening, they all went to the old Anderson Company building. It was just as Elena had described. Broken windows, old machinery covered in dust, and a sign with most of the letters missing. The building felt cold and wrong. Maya could sense Marcus's presence immediately. He was there, waiting and watching. He knows we are here, Maya whispered. Good, Thomas said. We want him to know. David, can you put healing protections on all of us? David touched each person's forehead and spoke quietly in a language Maya did not understand. She felt warmth spread through her body. Elena, can you see if anything has changed now that we are here? Thomas asked. Elena closed her eyes and concentrated. After a moment, she opened them with a worried expression. Sarah will still come tomorrow. But now, Marcus is very angry that we are here. He is going to try something different. What? Maya asked. I cannot see clearly, but I think he is going to try to possess one of us, to take control of someone's body and use them against the others. Mrs. Chen's cat, who had followed them despite trying to stay away, suddenly arched its back and hissed at the building. Then it ran away into the night. Even the animals know this is a bad place, Mrs. Chen said sadly. Thomas looked around at the group. We all need to be very careful tomorrow. If Marcus tries to possess someone, the rest of us must be ready to help. No one goes anywhere alone. As they walked back to their cars, Maya felt the weight of what was coming. Tomorrow she would face her first real spiritual battle. She thought about her grandmother and her parents. They had faced dangers like this too. She thought about Jake, who was now safe at home with his family because she had helped him. She thought about all the other people she might be able to help in the future. Maya made a decision. She would not let fear stop her from using her gifts to help others. Even if Marcus was dangerous, she had friends who would stand with her. She was not alone. The next evening, Maya sat in Rose's cafe with Thomas and the others. They were all tense, waiting for Sarah to arrive. Maya kept looking at the door, expecting to see the young woman with blonde hair and green eyes. At exactly 7 o'clock, the door opened. Sarah walked in, just as Elena had seen in her dreams. She was pretty and looked about 25 years old, but her eyes seemed strange, like she was not completely aware of where she was. "Excuse me," Sarah said, walking directly to Maya. "Are you the person who can find lost people?" Maya's heart was beating fast, but she tried to stay calm. "I might be able to help. What is wrong?" "My sister Lucy is missing," Sarah said. Her voice sounded flat and emotionless. "She went to the old Anderson building last night to meet someone. She never came home. I think she might be trapped there." Thomas leaned forward. "It has been empty for years." Sarah looked confused for a moment, like she was trying to remember something. "She said someone called her. Someone who needed help." Maya exchanged a look with Elena. This was exactly what Elena had seen in her dream. "I will help you look for Lucy," Maya said, "but I do not want to go alone. My friends will come with me." Sarah's eyes flashed with anger for just a second. Then she smiled, but the smile did not reach her eyes. "That is not necessary. Lucy might be scared if too many people come." "We all go together, or we do not go at all," Thomas said firmly. Sarah stared at Thomas with cold eyes. For a moment, Maya could see something else looking out through Sarah's eyes, something old and angry and very dangerous. Then Sarah blinked, and her normal, confused expression returned. "Okay," she said quietly. "I am very worried about Lucy." 20 minutes later, the whole group stood outside the old Anderson building. It looked even more frightening in the darkness. Broken windows stared down at them like empty eyes. Maya could feel Marcus's presence much stronger now. He was inside, waiting for them. "Remember the plan," Thomas whispered to the others. "Stay together. Watch for signs that Marcus is trying to possess someone. And do not trust anything you see that seems too good to be true." They walked through the main door. Sarah led them deeper into the building. Their footsteps echoed loudly in the empty space. "Lucy!" Sarah called out. "Lucy, are you here?" A voice answered from somewhere in the darkness ahead. "Sarah, is that you? I'm here. I'm trapped." Sarah started running toward the voice, but Thomas grabbed her arm. "Wait," he said. "That did not sound right." Maya concentrated on the voice they had just heard. She tried to use her gift to sense if it was real or not. "There is no one there," she said. "That voice is not coming from a person." Suddenly, Sarah laughed, but it was not Sarah's laugh. It was deep and cold and full of hate. "Very good, little Maya," Sarah said in a voice that was not her own. "You are learning. But you are still not strong enough to stop me." Marcus was now speaking through Sarah's mouth. Her body stood straighter, and her eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "Let Sarah go," Maya demanded. "She has done nothing wrong." "Sarah came here willingly," Marcus said through Sarah's lips. "She wanted to find her sister so badly. It was easy to convince her that Lucy was really missing." Thomas stepped forward. "Where is Lucy now?" Marcus laughed again. "Lucy is safe at home, watching television. She never went anywhere. But Sarah was so worried that she believed everything I told her. He is trying to get into my mind too." David quickly moved to Elena's side and touched her shoulder. The healing power he had put on her earlier became stronger. "You cannot have all of us," Thomas told Marcus. "And you cannot have Maya." "We shall see," Marcus said. He raised Sarah's hands, and cold wind began blowing through the building. The temperature dropped so quickly that Maya could see her breath. "Maya," Thomas shouted over the wind, "remember what I taught you. Build a shield around your mind." Maya concentrated on the protective words Thomas had taught her. She imagined a wall of bright light around her thoughts. Marcus tried to push into her mind, but the shield held. He snarled in frustration. "You think your little tricks can stop me?" Marcus said. "I have been growing stronger for 50 years. Dark shadows began moving around the room. They reached out toward Maya and the others like grasping hands. Chen stepped forward. "Marcus Vale," she shouted. "I know what you really are. You are afraid." "I fear nothing," Marcus screamed. "You fear moving on to whatever comes after death," Mrs. Chen continued. "You are so afraid of judgment that you hide here, stealing power from others. But you are still weak and pathetic." Marcus roared with anger. The shadows rushed toward Mrs. Chen, but David jumped in front of her. His healing power created a barrier of warm golden light that the shadows could not pass through. Maya realized what she had to do. While Marcus was focused on the others, she reached out with her gift toward Sarah's mind. She could see Sarah trapped inside her own body, like a prisoner in a cage. Sarah was terrified and confused, but she was fighting against Marcus's control. "Sarah," Maya called out with her thoughts, "I am here to help you. You are stronger than he is." Sarah's real personality began pushing back against Marcus. For a moment, her eyes returned to normal. "I cannot hold him much longer," Sarah gasped in her own voice. Thomas saw what was happening. "Everyone together," he shouted. "We drive him out now." All 5 of them joined hands around Sarah. They began speaking the protective words Thomas had taught them. Their combined power created a circle of bright light. Marcus screamed as the light touched him. "You cannot banish me. This is my place." "No," Maya said firmly. "This is not your place. You do not belong here anymore. You died 50 years ago. It is time for you to go." The light around them grew brighter. Marcus tried to hold on to Sarah, but he was being pulled away from her. "I will return," he threatened. "I will find you again." "No, you will not," Elena said. Her gift was showing her the future clearly now. "This is your last chance to choose. You can go peacefully to whatever waits for you, or you can be destroyed completely." For a moment, Marcus hesitated. Maya could feel his confusion and fear. Despite all his anger and evil, he was still the spirit of someone who had once been human. "You have a choice," Maya said gently. "You can let go of your anger and find peace." Marcus looked around at the 5 people surrounding him with their light. Then he looked at Sarah, who was now free and crying with relief. "I am tired," Marcus said quietly. His voice sounded sad and old. "I have been angry for so long. I forgot what it was like to feel anything else." The shadows around the room began to fade away. The cold wind stopped blowing. "Help me," Marcus whispered. "Help me go where I am supposed to go." Maya felt tears in her eyes. Even after everything Marcus had done, she felt sorry for him. "We will help you," she said. Together the 5 friends used their combined gifts to guide Marcus's spirit toward the light that appeared above them. Maya could sense other spirits there, waiting to welcome him and help him find peace. "Thank you," Marcus said as he faded away. "Tell Sarah I am sorry." Then he was gone, and the old building felt normal again. Just an empty, dusty place with broken windows. Sarah collapsed into a chair, exhausted but free. "What happened to me?" she asked. Thomas knelt beside her. "You were being controlled by a spirit, but you fought against him. You were very brave." "Is Lucy really safe?" Sarah asked. Elena smiled. "Yes, She is at home, worried about you. You should call her." As they all walked out of the building together, Maya felt different. She had faced her first real spiritual battle. But more importantly, she had learned that even the most frightening enemies could sometimes be helped rather than simply defeated. Thomas put his hand on her shoulder. "Your grandmother would be very proud of you tonight." "I could not have done it alone," Maya said, looking at her friends. "That is the most important lesson of all," Rose said. "Our gifts make us strong, but friendship makes us stronger." Maya looked up at the stars as they walked back to their cars. She thought about all the people she would help in the future. She thought about the mysteries she would solve and the spirits she would guide to peace. She was no longer the confused girl who had knocked on Thomas's door just weeks ago. She was Maya, a guardian of the balance between the world of the living and the world of the dead.